today we're with Ashley. Can you give a little introduction about yourself and your career?
Sure. So, like Isabel said, my name is Ashley. I am an area manager with Arbonne International, which is an overall health and wellness company that specializes in holistic health and wellness. We've been around for about 40 years. And yeah, I started my Arbonne journey back in April. I started in April. And in these past however many months, by I want to say, what is it, September now? What is time? It's 2020. But as of a couple months ago, I hit area manager, which is the second of four levels of management in our company. And so I'm at the top 6%, which is very cool. We are all recognized as small business owners because we do, you run your site, you choose who joins your team, you choose your clients, we are all our own bosses, which is cool. So we do very much work like independent contractors. And it is absolutely incredible and the weirdest, funniest thing that I've ever done and that I have absolutely fallen in love with. So yeah, I'm very grateful to be here and very excited to get to talk about some stuff tonight.
But did you have any initial inspirations or role models along the way?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question because obviously we are in, sort of a time and space where we're all constantly being influenced in one way or another. The fact that there's an entire, group of humans whose literal profession is influencing. They are influencers.
Yeah.
So like to answer that question, no would be a lie. But at first thinking about it, I was like, I really don't know. But I think one of my hugest inspirations just in everything that I do is Elaine Welteroth, and she is absolutely incredible. She actually graduated from Sac State. She's not from Sacramento, but she graduated from Sac State, which is a big deal because I go to Sac State. And she is also a younger, African-American woman. And she was the youngest editor of Teen Vogue and went on to judge a season of Project Runway. And she's written books and she's just fantastic and fabulous. And the reason, and the reason why I just look up to her so much is because she hasn't let herself be put in a box in any way, and I think so much of why I struggled so long to sort of find a path was because I felt like there had to be one set path. You choose one career and that's what you do and that's all that you do. When really, if you are able to recognize that we are purpose, all of us, your purpose isn't tied to any one profession or field. It is, what you feel like you are placed in the world to do. And then how you choose to do it, your profession is really just the vehicle of you accomplishing that purpose. And so I love that her purpose and her path has taken her in so many different directions, and it sort of reminds me that mine can as well, because like I said, this is not this is not a field that I ever expected myself to be in and be passionate about, but now that I am, I'm I totally get it in where it does align with my purpose. And so it's nice to have her. And then also we are the whole vibe of network marketing is that we do all have built-in mentors, the people who sort of sponsor you, your uplines, so to speak, are the people who are there to guide you through the process because they've been through it themselves. So in that regard, my biggest mentor would be I guess it's my sponsor. Her name is Ilaria, and she is a regional vice president with Arbonne. And she did so, we're the same age. And she did so in 6 months, which is unheard of. That's top 2% of the company. And she's just an absolute beast and also the sweetest person ever. And I think that's really important because it's I'm very fortunate to have one, mentor who obviously I have no personal relationship with, one of those people I just see on TV or on social media. But then I also have someone in real time who is essentially not living the exact same life, but, same socioeconomic status. We're both from Sacramento. We both went to the same school. And I think that's also really important to have people around you that you sort of pull inspiration from, just to kind of keep you grounded. So yeah, those would be my two biggest ones right now.
Well, I can see why for both of them. And I love what you said about remembering your purpose. I think it's so easy to get caught up in what job you want to do, especially at our age when everyone's asking you what you want to be. But you're right, it's just a way to get there.
Absolutely.
Clearly you haven't let age limit you. What would you tell a girl who feels like she's too young or too inexperienced to start her own company?
So I have a couple things. So first, if you're making yourself feel that way, don't. You have no reason to feel that way. But especially if someone else is making you feel that way, if society is making you feel that way or whatever, laugh. Actually laugh. Because I do not care what field you were in. I don't care if you were building, a brick and mortar business from the ground up, or you're working online, or you're starting, a clothing company, whatever field you're in. There is not a single person who started on day one and knew everything. Like, they knew exactly how they were going to get to where they wanted to be. And from day one to their first, $1 million or whatever your benchmark is, it was just steady upward trajectory. Like, that does not exist. We're all just figuring it out as we go. And that's okay. Everything about this, especially entrepreneurship, is trial and error. You're not losing as long as you're not quitting. It's, instead of winning and losing, it's you're winning or you're learning. Because if you're winning, if what you're doing is working, great, that's amazing. And if you try something and it doesn't work out the way that you thought that it would, then you get to learn from that and try again. But you don't allow yourself to feel intimidated or afraid because you don't know how to do this thing. If you know that you want to do this thing, that is the most important thing. You want to, and that hopefully you are genuinely passionate about it. You're not doing the thing where you're letting other people impose their views or their goals or their expectations of you on you. You just feel like, I have this tug on my heart to do this. I don't know how the fudge I'm going to, but I definitely want to make it happen. It might be a train wreck, and that's okay, because that's part of the journey. I from personal experience, I had no idea what I was getting myself into in this situation. And sure, like, outside looking in, you're like, oh, but you've achieved such great success in such a small period of time. Sure, but I had no idea what I was doing. And there's still plenty of days when I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't have the answer, but I know that I'm going to try to figure it out. And I'm going to do my best to keep moving forward. And that's all that you can do. So, regardless of age, age is not the determining factor of whether or not you possess all of the answers to the universe. Like, of course, we gain more wisdom as we get older, but in terms of entrepreneurship, especially, I don't care whether you're starting your business at 13 or, 65. You're starting from ground one, and we probably possess the same amount of knowledge because this is your first time trying this out, right? So you just got to take that chance and go with it.
As the leader of your own company, what do you think is the most important first step in starting a business?
Part of that is like starting. Like, you just have to start. So many of us get caught up in the planning process, and obviously you do want plan, but at a certain point, planning can turn into overthinking, where you're planning to plan, sort of, and you're not actually acting or doing anything. So it's like, you know what? You just got to put yourself out there and you have to start. But past that, I think what's really, really important is knowing your reason, why you are doing what you're doing. One of the first TED Talks that I ever watched was in high school. It was Simon Sinek, and he was talking about the golden circle. And if you have not seen the golden circle, then you should go look up that video right now because it's fantastic. And basically the way the golden circle works is, the theme of the video is that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And so, which obviously we all kind of know, but you don't really know until it's for some reason it's revolutionary to hear it put that way. But it's like, when you think about it in the way that capitalism works and the reason why there's so much competition in the market, you can have, a million different shoe brands, a million different car brands, but they're appealing to different parts of people, whether it's your ethos, your pathos, your logos, whatever they're connecting to in you. Because if you line up a whole bunch of cars next to each other, they just look like cars. But what emotional connection are you having with that brand, with that car? And so we have to think about that in terms of our businesses as well. Of course, we're not Toyota, but in whatever you're trying to do, why are you being called to do this? Why do you feel, your heart is being tugged to walk this path, to start this business? Because that's what's going to resonate with people. And also past it resonating with whoever your potential clients, or even potential employees, potential consultants are, it has to resonate with you, because I promise you, it is not going to be an easy road, but it's absolutely going to be worth it. But even still, there are going to be really hard days. You're going to hear lots of no's. There's going to be lots of negativity. Hopefully not too much negativity, but all of those things are kind of, inevitable. And so you have to have a reason that's strong enough for yourself to keep you going on those hard days, to push past the no's, to remind yourself why you are doing this in the first place. And then everything else can come after that, because obviously you want to continue to plan, you want to be able to face whatever obstacles are coming at you. But if you don't have a really, solid, deeply rooted reason why you are moving forward in this, then you're not going to get very far, because as soon as you do approach, a huge obstacle that was unexpected or something, or somebody telling you all the reasons why you can't or why you shouldn't do this because of your age, your gender, or how many other people fail in this field or whatever, then you're going to fall because you didn't have a strong enough reason to be here in the first place. So I think really establishing that why is the most important part of starting, really.
I completely agree. And I like the theme of this interview. It's all about purpose. What would you say are the top 3 skills needed to be a successful entrepreneur?
I would say, and in no particular order, the top 3 skills would be consistency, discipline, and strong mindset. And I think it would be super easy to be like, you have to be a great speaker, or you have to be an awesome leader, or you have to be really charismatic, or whatever. And not to say that those things aren't important and that they aren't true. Of course, you want to, possess some leadership skills and whatnot. But most of those things can be learned, if you're not completely comfortable being a public speaker, you can learn how to get better skills in that department. If you aren't that great at connecting with people, you can learn sort of how to develop certain skills that will help you in that area. But consistency, discipline, and strong mindset can be learned. And it's something that we should all possess, and that we do, but it's really tapping into that and applying it to what we say our priorities are. Because as a self-proclaimed procrastinator, especially when it comes to school. When it came to school, oh my goodness, I was like, oh yeah, I'm not good at any. I will wait till the last minute to do everything. And it was even worse because I never really felt the ramifications of that, because I could wait till the last minute to write a paper and I'd still get an A on that paper, but I need to learn something. Like at a certain point, I almost wanted to fail, so then I would be like, no, do it earlier. But whatever. So I just kept procrastinating. But when it's come to my business, not at all, because I have decided that, this is something that I value greatly, that I want to see myself do well in. And so a lot of times we give ourselves these labels, oh, I'm not consistent, oh, I'm not disciplined. But it's like, it's not that you're not that way. It's not that it's that you're not, taking the steps to apply that to this area of your life. Because I promise you, there are other areas of your life where you are consistent and where you are disciplined. It might be for the wrong habits and for the wrong things, but you do possess those skills. You just have to apply them here. And the reason why it's so important in terms of building a business and maintaining a business is because the best thing about being an entrepreneur is you're your own boss. And the worst thing about being an entrepreneur is you're your own boss. Like, there's nobody who's gonna fire you or reprimand you if you're not working as hard as you need to be, if you're not showing up every day, and if you're not making this a priority that you say that it is. You are completely in control of how you work, when you work, and if you work at all. And so consistency and discipline go hand in hand, because whether you might have a million things going on, you might be working another job in addition to trying to start up this business. And so maybe you only have an hour a day to devote to whatever business you're building, and that's okay. But then you just have to be very intentional and disciplined about that hour. And so if you start to get in the habit of letting go of that hour because you're not being consistent, because you're not being disciplined about how you're spending your time, then obviously that's when the cracks are going to start to show. So consistency and discipline are huge. And then strong mindset, is everything. Because especially as women, especially as young women, you are going to encounter people, and it's really, it can be really hurtful, but you have to sort of expect it. Even the people closest to you, even the people in your family who are like, you know, it's really not going to work out. Do you know how many people like fail in this? And then they start dropping percentages like they're Google, and you're like, since when are you so knowledgeable about? Okay, sure. And so, you know, going back to sort of knowing your why, but also just being aware of those potential, that potential negative energy, being aware of the no's that will come, and the obstacles that you will have to face, but also being grounded in the fact that you're going to keep pushing forward, regardless, which isn't to say that you aren't going to allow yourself to feel whatever you need to feel. I'm not advocating becoming a robot at all. And nobody can spew sunshine and rainbows all of the time. But if you have a strong enough mindset, then you will be able to acknowledge those feelings as you're having them, but continue to push past them and work towards your overall goal. So yeah, I think consistency, discipline, and mindset are the biggest things, at least for me.
Those three are great, and you definitely have to be prepared for the ups and downs.
Yeah.
Speaking of, what has been the most difficult or disappointing part of entrepreneurship for you?
I think for me, it's, especially as you get into the realm of building a team, you know, because when you're starting out, it's just you know, you are the only variable that you have to control, and you can sort of manage that, you know. It's when you start bringing other people in that it can get a little sticky. And so at first, you know, when it's just you and you're like, okay, I'm grounded in my reason, I'm really excited about this, you know, I know that it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to keep pushing, and that's great. You're totally invested in your vision, obviously, because it's your vision. But as you bring other people in, you will, if that is something that you want to do, and hopefully, you know, in the grand scheme of your vision, that is something that you want to do. Because something that I remind myself is, you know, if my vision doesn't include other people, then it's not big enough, whether that's as clients or as consultants, as team members, whatever, just in some way, it can't just be about me. And so because a lot of my my wants for this business involves other people, and to empower them as well, and to, you know, help them start their own journeys and their own businesses and flourish that way, it can be hard when you become emotionally invested in other people. And obviously you're already emotionally invested in your vision. And sometimes people aren't going to have that same investment in your vision. And that's okay. I'm talking to myself here as well, because sometimes I forget that. But it's like, it's okay. That is completely okay. Some people, especially as you were building, whether you were taking them on as employees or team members or whatever, they are going to quit. They are going to walk out. And that is okay, because it really does, everything comes back to being grounded in your why and knowing why you were here, and continuing to move forward and be present, not only for yourself, but also because, you know, people might be no's up front, or they might say yes and then later become a no and do the walkout, do the quit thing. That doesn't mean that other people won't be yeses. That doesn't mean that you won't continue to find those people who will buy into your vision and start to create their own from that. And so that's what you have to keep pushing forward for. But it can definitely, it threw me off. At first I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be fine. Like, you know, everybody is, well, because you're so excited about something, no matter what field you're in, you're like, yes, I'm so passionate about this. And sometimes you get so caught up in your own passion, your own excitement, that you forget that, like, not everybody is living in your brain. Like, not everybody is seeing things exactly the way that you are, and having the same experiences, and that's okay. So you just have to remember that as well. So it becomes a balance of like, okay, I do want to invest in people. I do want to give them my time. I do want to bring them into this, but I also don't want to become more invested in anyone else's journey than in my own. So it's just figuring that out is definitely a challenge.
Definitely. So would you say that finding that balance is the best way you push past everyone not always being with your vision?
Yeah. And yeah, I definitely would. And like I said, it's still something that I'm trying to remind myself of. It's still something I'm trying to master, to be honest, because I'm also somebody, because so much of my my purpose, my decided purpose and vision for this business is helping to empower other people as well through this business. And even with these products, if it's just, you know, helping you improve your overall health and wellness, that's amazing. I get so excited about that as well. But because so much of it is, you know, me wanting to do that for other people, when they don't see that for themselves or when they don't want it for themselves, I'm like, oh, but this could be so great. It's like, okay, Ashley, relax. Like, and just remembering, you know, yes, the balance, and that you want to follow the path of least resistance, you know, whether you are adding people as clients or you're adding people as actual team members. You want the people who want to be there. You want the people who see that for themselves. Because if you do get to the point of begging people to work, begging people to buy your whatever it is, then they're not really enjoying it anyways, and you aren't either. So you're ruining the process for both of you. So remembering that is also really helpful, because I'm like, okay, well, if they don't want to be here, that's totally fine. Like, let them go, and you will continue to attract the people who will. And you just have to remind yourself of that. Yeah.
That's great advice. On the flip side, what is your favorite part of entrepreneurship?
So my favorite part actually is also team related. Because on the opposite end, yeah, I guess these are perfect. These are perfect opposites, because yeah, where people walking out and saying no can be very hard. I'm also just shocked and overwhelmed at times with, well, seeing as I started this, it was a surprise to me as well that like, this was something I was going to take a chance on and run with and really give my 100% to. Then even being able to build a team and to have those people who do sort of just see the vision and want this for themselves, like effortlessly, it's magnetic. And getting to see other people as a result of me saying yes, as a result of me taking a chance on myself and deciding to walk this path and push through all of the uncomfortable situations and the no's and the negativity, seeing the people who now believe in this process and believe in themselves as a result of it is so rewarding. I don't even have words for it. Like, it's just the coolest thing ever, to see people push themselves out of their comfort zones, and to try something that is very much outside of the norm. You know, we are conditioned to follow the 9-to-5 path. You go to school, you get your degree. Now you get 2 degrees because stressful anyway. So you go to school, you get 2 degrees if you're lucky, and then you get hired somewhere and you work 8 to 5, 40 hours a week forever. And then if you are lucky, then you get to retire at some point where you may or may not have retirement benefits, fingers crossed, and Social Security and all the fun things. And then your life is over and that's it. And it's like, wow, and that's no shade, because if you are fulfilled with your 9-to-5 job, if that is it, your purpose, great. All that matters at the end of the day is fulfillment. But if you see that life path and you're like, I just don't feel great about that, I just feel like there's more, then there absolutely is. And please go seek that out for yourself. But it's scary. It's so scary to go against the norm, to sort of ignore the status quo and go out on your own, and try to figure things out, especially since we are conditioned to the point of the fact that nobody knows how to do this. You know, of course, there are tons of people. So many people don't even know what being an entrepreneur really means. Like, let's be honest. And so, yeah, to get to see other people as a result of my yes and my chance and pushing past a whole bunch of fears, to see other people feel like, okay, maybe this is something I can do as well. And I want to take a chance on myself, and I believe that I can do this too. You know, the sort of, well, if she can do it, then so can I thing is the greatest. It's absolutely the greatest. And one of the reasons why I was super excited to have this opportunity to do this interview, because I absolutely feel like more women, as many women, and just humans in general as possible, should pursue entrepreneurship, should seek something for themselves, and be able to create lives by our own design, as opposed to what we're being told to do all of the time. So yeah, that's the coolest thing, is being able to help people see that and do that for themselves.
I could not agree more. So, can you give a little more detail about your company and what you guys do in the health and wellness space?
So Arbonne, it's very cool. We have been around for 40 years. Like I mentioned earlier, we actually started in the skincare space. So we have over 450 products, everything from nutrition to skincare to makeup. You complimented my pink eyeshadow, which I very much appreciate. This is our eyeshadow palette, one of our eyeshadow palettes,
No way.
and I love. And everything is vegan, gluten-free, cruelty-free, non-GMO, literally all of the bad things free. Arbonne is actually a Swiss company. So we know as Americans, they are held to much higher standards in Europe than we are here. So everything is much cleaner just on that basis. For reference, here the FDA bans between like 9 and 11 harmful toxins from the things that go, in our bodies and on our bodies. And of course, companies can choose to go above and beyond that. So we are lucky to have companies that do, but they don't have to. And so there are lots of mystery things in our food and in our supplements and in our skincare, and that's scary. By comparison, in the UK, they have to ban over 1,200 harmful toxins. So that jump, yes, exactly. My class, exactly. It's frightening. And then Arbonne is just amazing because they go above and beyond even the UK standard, and we ban over 2,000 harmful toxins, which is just, it's literally like, knowing that alone was the reason why I actually started using the products before I wanted to start my own Arbonne business, because I wanted to make sure that I had a personal relationship with them, that I actually like them, because as we talked about earlier, we are living in a day and age where you can be an influencer, and there's so many people who get brand deals and get things sent to them and just have to say that they like it without ever using it or putting it on their face, and get thousands of dollars for posting that picture,
Yeah.
And so it's scary to know what to trust and what not to. And I knew that I very much value transparency, and I'm very grateful that this company also values transparency. So if I try something and I don't like it, I'm honest about that. And everything that I buy because I choose to. We are not required to buy product or to keep product or any of that. So it's been a very organic process, which is amazing. And I came into it because I just wanted to improve my my overall my health. My physical health, really. I wasn't so much thinking about skincare or makeup when I started. I started for the nutrition products because I just knew that I needed some sort of like a gentle reset, but I also wanted something sustainable. There's so many crazy fad diets and cleanses and flat tummy teas and like, oh, you just eat 3 crackers a day and then you drink a glass of water and you go to sleep and you're fine. And it's like, no, that's not real. Like, I know I need something to really educate me, to help me learn how to find those clean alternatives. And so I started on our 30 Days to Healthy Living program. It's amazing. And it is very intentionally named 30 Days to Healthy Living. It is not like the 30 days to losing 30 pounds, because we also know health is not directly correlated to your weight. Whether you do want to lose weight or you want to gain weight, or maybe you just want to feel better, which was me. I just wanted to feel better. We have something for everyone, because it really is just feeling as good as you possibly can in the skin you're in, both in the way that your body is functioning and in your skincare, because your skin is our largest organ. And so what you're putting on it matters a lot. It goes directly into your bloodstream, and what's going into your body, and that can be a frightening thing. So I'm such a fan, obviously, of all of our products, and I've been transitioning to a more plant-based lifestyle in general for the past year or so. So the fact that now my everyday items, not just my nutrition, but also my makeup and my skincare, and we have baby care, we have men's care, like we have body wash, we have everything, sunscreen, like everything. And so being able to use cleaner products all the way around, and to help other people use cleaner products and think about their health differently and get excited about it. Like, you don't have to starve yourself. We want you to eat too. Please eat. We just want you to eat the cleanest possible things for your body. So yeah, I am absolutely in love with the company. I'm absolutely in love with our, our mission. Yeah, I just feel very grateful to be in this space.
Well, I can see why. I'm so excited to check this company out more.
Yeah, you
That
should. You
sounds
absolutely should.
incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So, for the girls who may want to go into the health and wellness space, can you give a little behind the scenes of the tools or platforms that you found most useful for your business?
So I feel strongly, and I'm sure this is going to be no surprise to anyone, but the greatest tool that we have now as entrepreneurs, not just in the health and wellness space, but just across the board, is social media. It is amazing, especially in 2020. So I chose an interesting time to start my business. Obviously, I did not foresee the apocalypse coming, but here we are. And so whereas I'm in the business of network marketing, so it is all about, who you know and meeting people and reaching people and things. Half of my business, regardless, was going to be social media based, but the other half would have been, who I am meeting out and about, who I am meeting in classes or at the grocery store or at social gatherings and whatnot. 2020 doesn't have any of that. So social media has really been, my best friend, and I'm sure everybody's best friend. Lots of my friends who also have small businesses. Social media is everything now because you have access to so many different markets, to so many different people, literally at your fingertips. But there is a sort of, not a catch, but I guess kind of a catch with that. It goes back to being disciplined and being intentional about how you're spending your time, because as somebody with a business that is, predominantly worked from my different social media platforms, it can become so easy to get sucked into the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter vortex. And you're scrolling for hours and you feel like you're working, but you're not actually doing anything, No, Ashley, you're just scrolling. You're not doing anything. And so being intentional about how you're spending your time, you're saying, okay, I'm going to get on right now, spend 30 minutes actually prospecting. You need to be spending those 30 minutes prospecting, not looking at cat videos or whatever, or, whatever is really oddly satisfying, because you just get stuck in those places.
Right.
So yeah, being disciplined is very, very important. But if you are being disciplined about how you're spending your time, in prospecting and following up with clients and reaching out to potential team members and whatnot, then it is the most amazing tool because you literally have the world in your hand. And that has been a lot of the pull, I know, for other people getting into this business or other network marketing businesses, is the ability to work from our phones. We just have access to so much, and it's so easy. But I would also deeply urge when you are getting into the network marketing world. I'm very fortunate to have found Arbonne, but I do understand why people, and I was hesitant and skeptical for the longest time, because there are lots of network marketing companies that would like to take advantage of you, that are not transparent about their business practices, that are just worried about numbers and whatnot. So do your due diligence, do your research, make sure that you are joining something that is reputable, but also trust your gut, because 9 times out of 10, it's not wrong, I promise. But yeah, if you are with the right organization or you are starting something for yourself, then social media is the greatest tool. But just, doing the research, and if something seems too good to be true, generally it is. Generally, I know some people look at what we do and they're like, but you're not required to buy products, and you're not required to do X, Y, and Z. It's only $49 to start. It's like, okay, yes, no, I understand. That sounds good. But there's still a direct correlation between you will get out of it exactly what you put into it. So you still have to work to see a reward. It's not just like I post a picture and then $10,000 lands in my bank account. I would love for it to work that way, but it doesn't. So just being aware in that way as well, because also working from social media, you especially in the health and wellness space, there are lots of companies that claim to be in the health and wellness space, and really they're just in the scamming people space. And you have to be aware of that too. So, something like Arbonne, you can go to our website, you can look at all of our products, you can pull up all of the ingredient lists. Lots of them are clinically tested. Like, there's lots of information there, where you might pull up something else, a tea or a juice or a cleanse, And it looks like, but is it really going to do that? It's probably not. If you're questioning it, probably not. So please be careful. But generally, if you are using social media properly, and doing your due diligence, it is an amazing, amazing tool.
Definitely. And it's so important to remember, like you are, to be proud of the company you work for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You've given some great advice so far. I have a couple more questions.
Sure.
So the first one is, how do you handle the gender gap in the entrepreneurial space?
So it's interesting because I am fortunate to work alongside a company where the majority of business owners in Arbonne are women. And that's part of sort of what attracted me. But then I'm working from the opposite space, where I'm like, I kind of want to see more male consultants, which is a weird thing to like be in, but also not just, I want to see more other in general, just across the board, whatever the majority is. I want to see other, I want to see more fluidity, especially in something like the health and wellness space, because truthfully, if you are a human with a pulse, you can benefit from health and wellness. Lots of times, health and wellness, definitely has a connotation of like fitness and weight loss, and I understand that too. And that's why I was not super interested for the longest time, because I'm like, I don't care about before and after pictures. I don't care at all. I don't care how many inches my waist is. That's weird. I've never measured anything like that. So I understand why people are turned off in that space. But if you take health and wellness to mean what it actually means, which is your health and your wellness, physically, mentally, and emotionally, then it is something that all people can benefit from. And so I want to see that more reflected in our business, across the board. And then you have to think about different parts of identity, because it's like, okay, so women are definitely accounted for here, but is it spread out enough in terms of age, across the entire spectrum? Because honestly, most of the people who are really successful in this field are like middle-aged white women. Like, that's it. But I'm looking for, where's everybody else? Because the planet is full of way more than just middle-aged white women. And we are an international company. These are products that I am absolutely confident, like I said, every person with a pulse could benefit from. There's over 450 of them. There's at least one that you're really gonna love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If not more. So where is the rest of that being reflected? And just being aware of those things. But also, generally speaking, outside of our company, especially in the social media world, you see way more men identifying as entrepreneurs on social media than you do women. And it's just kind of a further reminder of the way just the world is set up. And I don't want to say the world, but definitely our world, definitely our society. And the fact that there needs to be more successful women, there needs to be more women in leadership everywhere. And being aware of that also strengthens your purpose, because you're like, okay, well, the only way to really contribute to that is to, one, be a woman who is pushing to be a successful entrepreneur, and then to help other women and other people do the same. So I feel very grateful to be in that space to get to do exactly those things. But yeah, I think the key to that in general is just being aware, but also not letting it deter you. And knowing that if you see a problem that you want to fix, then the only way to really do that is to jump in and get to work. So that's what we're doing, right?
Definitely. Both ends of the spectrum are very important to consider. You touched on this a little, but maybe within your specific company, how do you address diversity?
Great question. So as I said, most of the people that we do see at the top, at least in America, because as I said, we are an international company. So obviously, they have, I can't exactly speak to what their diversity breakdown is in Europe or in Australia. But at least for here, it is mostly middle-aged white men, especially as you're getting to the top of the company. I know that they're consultants from all walks of life, but not so much regional vice presidents and national vice presidents. And that's what we need to see more of. And that, for me, much like with gender, is awareness, is being aware of that. And being able to be honest in that I've known about Arbonne as a company. Well, yeah, I have known about Arbonne as a company for at least a couple years now. I thought I knew it all. I didn't. But when I say I know about it, there were like a couple of girls who I followed who were also doing the Arbonne thing. And I was like, oh, okay, but didn't really care to learn more than that. Mm-hmm. And part of that was because I saw lack of diversity. And I am very obviously a woman of color. It is not a secret to anyone. And there's so much going on in the world and in our country, especially right now, that's really highlighting just how little grasp people have on like what it means to be diverse, what it means to respect people from different backgrounds. Like people just really don't know, and it's crazy. And so being in this space and knowing that that was one of the things that I was worried about, and why I didn't initially like jump in 2 years ago the first time I saw it, because I'm like, well, this doesn't look like something that's for me. I don't feel myself being represented. And then taking the time to learn more and realizing, okay, I do identify that there is definitely a lack of diversity here, a huge one. But I would like to see that changed. And so if I would like to see that changed, I should probably do something about it. So, jumping in and deciding that that was also sort of going to be built into my mission. Like I said, I want to bring in more of otherness all across the board, because everybody, clearly your skin color has very little to do with whether or not you need your body to run properly. We all do need that. And so being in this space and sort of, not to put too much on me or anything, but just to be an example that, if you are someone who looks like me, or not even somebody who looks like me, but just somebody who maybe doesn't look like most of what you have seen, you can do this too. And you can do this well, and you can really thrive here. And I'm also fortunate that Arbonne, upon everything that's happened this year, they have been so proactive in being transparent about their lack of diversity on the consultant level, on a corporate level, all of those things, and are making active efforts to improve that. So that's huge, but it can also be, it can be a little difficult at times. I like to call it, I like to say I try my best to have tunnel vision. And to focus really on what my purpose is, what my mission is, and bringing in, new people, bringing in otherness, doing those things. Because if I get too hung up on the way it already looks, if I get too hung up on what other people are doing and how other people feel, then I slow down. Then my mission is not being pushed forward because I'm letting all of these other things impact me. And that has been especially hard recently, but just continuing to push forward, focus on my team, focus on the people that I get to walk on alongside and help in their journeys, and the people that I have yet to reach. Because yeah, there absolutely is a lack of diversity, but like I said, the only ways to fix those things are to get to work. So I'm just doing my best to continue getting to work. Yeah.
Well, thank you for working so hard towards that. And I mean, diversity is such a broad topic, and it can seem a little overwhelming, but yeah, you're right, everyone can do their part all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a few more fun questions to end with. The first one is about time travel. This wasn't too long ago, but if you could go back to the founding of your company and give yourself a piece of advice, what would you say?
I would. Now, this might be a little type A of me, I'm going to be honest, but I would probably tell myself not to take my foot off the gas. Because I think, I know I hit a certain level at a much faster rate than most people, which is awesome. And I think it's very important to be grateful for whatever space you're in, and to not be solely focused on the future, and on where you're trying to get to. You should always be grateful where you are first. But I can also acknowledge that once I did get to a certain level, I, whether consciously or, subconsciously, sort of relaxed, which is good because you do want to relax, but also you have to remember that momentum builds momentum. And when you let go of that momentum, it's a lot harder to build it back up than it is to just keep, riding off of what you've already created. And so when you get too relaxed, you settle in too much in your comfort, then you remember, no, wait, I'm not done. I have to keep going. And so, I would go back and I would tell myself to, of course, enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, be grateful for every moment, but don't stop until you reach your desired destination. And there's also a qualifier with that, because I think the destination changes, because we as people, there's always room to grow. You've never reached your final destination until you are, but essentially, as long as you are alive and there is air in your lungs, you have never reached your final destination. There's always room to go. There's always, an opportunity to pivot, to change, to learn something new. And so, that can always change, and that's absolutely fine. But, I knew when I started, I want to get to the top, because already in my success line, I am the highest ranking, Black woman, which is cool, but it's also like, really? Like, there needs to be more of us, and more of everything else. I want to see more high ranking, Latinx people. I want to see more high ranking Asian people. I want to see more ranking, gender fluid and whatever, just everything represented. So if I set out with the mission of, okay, I want to get to the top, then that means you better keep your foot on that gas until you get there. And then you can take a break, and then you can, and obviously remembering things like self-care, remembering things like, please do take a step back. Please do take account of your mental health and your emotional well-being along the journey. I do not think anybody, especially myself, should work themselves into the ground. But I just am aware of where, like, okay, I got to a certain level, and you can also get really caught up in like the praise and other people celebrating you, and you're like, oh, everybody else thinks I'm doing an awesome job, maybe I'm fine here. And it's like, no. That's great, that's amazing, appreciate that as well, but your standards and your goals should be all that matter, not anybody else's. And that works across the board, because obviously, you don't want to let other people impose their goals on you. Whatever you're happy with, that's all that matters. But also, don't get too caught up in the praise. If you are doing well, you are hitting those goals, you are getting to that place, because it can throw you off as well. Mm-hmm. So again, keeping tunnel vision is huge, but foot on the gas, definitely. Definitely.
I love it. So as the leader of your own company, what has been your most satisfying moment?
My most satisfying moment. It's kind of strange, because it was early on. It was actually like in my first month of my business, but I think it was the first time that I realized that, like, oh, I'm really doing this. Like, I'm really doing this. And not just, I knew that I was doing this when I said yes, but that I could do this well. Of course, everything before was, and even still is, me believing in myself and reminding myself that I can do this and that I can push through. But at the end of my first month was the first time that one of my team members actually approached me about joining. And I didn't think she was serious. I was like, because in my mind, I was like, no, like, I had it all mapped out. It was like, I have to hit a certain level. I need this through my sales volume or whatever before I feel comfortable, or not even before I feel comfortable reaching out to people about potentially joining my team. But before people would want to hear from me, like before people would have trust in me that I know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of my first month, when somebody approached me and they were like, no, I really want to do this with you, I was like, no, you don't. Like, you don't. I don't know what I'm doing yet, I swear. Like, don't come yet to talk to me again in 2 months. Like, I don't know. But she was really serious, and she wanted to give me a call, and we did. And it was awesome. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Yeah. And one of her biggest things was that she saw how passionate I was, and how much I was enjoying what I was doing. And that it seemed like I was doing it for the right reasons, you know, that I was coming from a genuine place. And that was just like the most incredible feeling, because I'm like, yeah, wait, no, I actually am. Like, I'm so glad that people see that. Yes, I am passionate about this. Yeah, I'm not trying to scam anybody, you know. I really am just, you know, having fun and trying to push myself out of my comfort zone and build something new for myself. So the fact that like that was translating to the point where it made her want to do that for herself as well was just like insane, absolutely insane. And obviously now, however many months later, now I have a team of like 10, and that's really cool and still insane. But yeah, I would still attribute that the first being like the most satisfying and, you know, rewarding experience for sure.
I can completely see why, and there's no way anyone can miss your passion for this.
Yes.
Ever.
Well, I'm glad. That's amazing. That's wonderful.
Yes. What do you do to celebrate when you accomplish a goal or reach one of your destinations?
So this probably is not a surprise, gauging by just the answer that I've been giving, but I don't have like, well, especially because it's 2020, I guess it wouldn't be that easy to go out and like whoop it up anyways. But even if it were, I'm pretty sure my ritual would be the same. And my celebration is rest. I'm like, yes, like I have that high, woo, I did it. Yes, I probably do some sort of really uncoordinated happy dance around the living room kind of situation. And then I rest, you know, then you probably won't see me on social media for a day or two. Because if I am really pushing to hit, you know, a big goal, that means I am working my butt off from the minute I open my eyes to the depths of the night. So especially towards the end there's probably not a whole lot of rest I'm getting anyways. And even in my sleep, I'm like dreaming about my business.
Right.
So once you get there, it's like, okay, great. Now I can just breathe a little bit.
A bonus question. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Yes.
My favorite word is resilience. My favorite word is resilience. And that is not, it's not like a hard choice for me, because resiliency, I think, is one of the values that I value most in myself and that I respect most in other people. Of course, things like honesty and like, yes, all of those, please don't be a lying murderer or something like that. I don't know. But I have such deep respect for resiliency. And I also feel like that's been an overwhelming theme of this year, especially, and all of us having to be resilient in ways we could not have foreseen. There's no way, I do not care what you have experienced, what your life looked like at the start of this year. Nobody could have prepared for what this year brought. But the fact that we are all, you know, pushing through as best we can, that we are all still carrying on, is absolutely incredible.
Can you share a funny story from your career?
Funny story. Let me think. I mean, yeah, okay. So my dad will probably hate me for this. I hope he doesn't. But it's fine. We're friends. So my dad works for, I won't name the company because then he'd feel some type of way. But he has his own sort of side hustle with another health and wellness company. And my dad has done so for the past 7 years. And so I was a little hesitant to start mine with Arbonne. My dad and I have a great relationship, but I was like, I feel like he's gonna feel a little when I tell him of all the companies I could have joined, it's definitely not his. But thankfully, he was amazingly supportive. And yeah, ultimately, my dad is just, he's the coolest guy, and was just happy that I'm like charting my own path and that I am, you know, taking ownership of my health and wellness in general. So all good things. Yeah. but also being as supportive as he is, you know, we share information, we talk about our new product releases and whatnot. And
Yeah.
I was talking really casually. It wasn't even like an appointment or anything, but I was just talking really casually with him about, you know, the way that our payment works, the way that our incentives work, talking about our products, talking about our mission, talking about the fact that I'm already at the top 6% and what I'm going for and sort of all of those things. And I was really just sharing them conversationally. Like I wasn't trying to sway him or anything. But when I got done talking, he was like, okay, so when you get to your next level, I'll switch. And I was like, what? Like, will you 7 years, and he loves this other company, and I have nothing against this other company. I think they're great. But 7 years, I was like, he's like, you know, I go where the good things are. So yeah. And I was like, you know what? And it was hilarious, but it was also like the most validating thing, because I'm like, if this man who has been this loyal to this company and these products for 7 years could just hear me casually talking about ours, like I'm not even trying to like one up you or anything, I promise. Even though in the back of my mind I'm like, I know better. But like, yeah, I wasn't trying to do any of those things. I'm really just, hey, catch up with my dad. And you're ready to switch? Okay, good talk, wonderful. And that was like a few months ago. So from then on, I was like, well, yeah, nobody can really. And it's been the funniest like anecdote when I talk to other people who are interested in our products, who are interested in this business. But they're like, but I've tried insert company name here. And then I get to go, funny story. And then they're like, oh, okay, then I'll try it. Yeah, great, wonderful. Come over here to the light side. Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Those are all my questions. Do you have any last piece of advice or anything else you want to add?
I mean, the generic, you know, don't give up. It will become, there will be those days when you're like, I don't know how to carry on. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if I'm going to make it. And you just have to keep going forward, even when you don't know. And that's okay. You know, you don't have to feel like you have it all figured out. Again, like nobody started on day one and was like, this is my 80-point plan to making this a multi-billion-dollar company. And then boom, I did it. And I never messed anything up. Like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. Everybody's dealt with no's. Everybody's dealt with objections. Everybody's dealt with those moments when you're like freaking out because you don't know what to do next or where to go. And that is okay. That is okay. You just have to decide that no matter what, you know, your why, you are grounded in your purpose enough to know that you're going to keep pushing forward. And then sooner or later, if you're consistent and you're disciplined enough, you're going to be successful. It just is a matter of time, literally.
That is great advice. And thank you for everything you've said, all of your answers. I'm so excited to share this video. I love your energy.
Oh, yeah,
I can't wait to try Arbonne.
Yes, no, thank you so much for having me. This was amazing. Yeah, no, and I'm super excited for you and everything that you're doing. This is so freaking cool. You're awesome. You're in an amazing position to be. So like, you're just already killing it at life. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we got to talk.
Yes, me too.